to my channel. I know this is a little different. We're going to be talking about our birth story. Goodness. You're so sleepy. So if you haven't met little Miss Mila yet, make sure to look at the video up in the cards. I'll also have it. I'll also have her video link down below, as well as the labor and delivery vlog. Yeah. Yeah. Like she's saying right now, be prepared to cry. They are both very emotional videos. I know. Yeah. Where's the passy? Okay. Hold on. Like I said, today I'm going to be sharing with you her birth story. Hopefully she's going to fall asleep here shortly and I won't have to rock anymore, because I know that's going to be super distracting. We're coming up on her nap time. She's a little late in the nap timing schedule, but we needed to go ahead and film this so that mommy could edit it while you slept. So before we get started with the birth story, if you will, leave me a question down below in the comments of something that you're dying to know, whether it's about postpartum or breastfeeding, anything dealing with her development, schedules, anything like that. Leave it down there, because I plan on making a breastfeeding essentials, postpartum must-haves kind of video, because I feel like there's so many things that I was not told about before having her, and I've learned so much over the past few weeks, and I definitely want to share all that knowledge with y'all. So if you have any questions, leave those down below in the comments for me. So let's just go ahead and get on into the video. If you are new to my channel and you don't know who we are, hi, my name is Paige. If you love us and you want to see more of us, make sure that you subscribe to our channel and you hit that like button showing us that you liked this video. So birth story, how does this go? Where do we start? Some of this might be repetitive to some of you, because I know a lot of you have followed closely along our whole pregnancy journey, so bear with me. Because this was our first full-blown pregnancy, if you did not know, we had a miscarriage back in 2017, and that was in that early first trimester, so we had never really got to experience the whole entire, you know, pregnancy spiel. So I didn't really know what a contraction felt like. I didn't know what a Braxton Hicks was. I didn't know what none of that stuff was. So every time I'd go to the doctor, they're like, are you having any contractions? Are you having any Braxton Hicks? I'm like, I don't know. Because I was always told that contraction just felt like really intense cramps. And I'm just like, she's doing some movements in there. And I didn't know if those were cramps or if that was just her moving, because the bigger they get, they run out of room. So it's kind of like, is that a Braxton Hicks or is that just her being uncomfortable? I really didn't know. So it was hard for me to be able to differentiate between them. But I did start picking up real quickly what a contraction was when they started, and I started going into labor at exactly 39 weeks, right by myself. We were actually scheduled to be induced in, let's see, that was on a Friday, and I was scheduled to be induced that Monday. And the reason we were scheduled to be induced was because we lived so far away from the hospital, and I tested positive for strep B. And if you don't know what the strep B thing is, they pretty much swab your butt. And I know it's weird, but if you're positive for it, they just want to make sure that you get antibiotics in your system before labor starts, before you start pushing, just so that as the baby passes through, you are pretty much covered with those antibiotics so that the baby's not exposed to that strep B virus. So they wanted to make sure that we got that in my system before this baby came out. So that was really the reason why we were going to be induced, because of the distance, and that we wanted to make sure we had those antibiotics in my system. So that didn't happen because, like I said, I naturally went into labor right by myself. So my 39-week appointment was that Friday, and I went in and I had been dilating each week. So at my 37-week appointment, I was 1 centimeter. My 38 appointment, I was 2 centimeters. And then my 39 appointment, I was 3 centimeters. And I hadn't even asked how much I was effaced at any appointment until that one. And I was 75% effaced. Still really don't know what that means. But I was 75%, and you need to be 100. So I was right there at the moneymaker. And then I had my membrane stripped at that appointment as well. And she told us that out of the last 13 women that she had done that to, 12 of them went into labor within 24 hours. So I was like, and she said as quickly as I was progressing right on my own, she did not see as to why I wouldn't be in the hospital within the next few hours. So we're just like, okay. So we kind of wanted to like hang around town, you know, to hang around the hospital. But we didn't, because I was like, no, I want to see my dogs one last time. And if y'all seen the labor video, then you've probably seen me crying and hugging my dogs, because I love my dogs so much. They have been my children for the last longest. They still are my children. Now they're the oldest. They're feeling a little neglected right now because of how much time we're having to give to our baby. But we do try every single day to give them time alone with just us, and we take them places, we play with them, we just do it. We give them a little bit extra love because they're not getting as much attention as they used to. But yeah, I wanted to come home and hug my dogs one last time. She stripped my membrane around 10:30 that morning, and we left, and I went to get my nails done. So here I am in early labor and didn't even know it, but I was sitting in. So there I was in the nail salon. I got a pedicure and I also got my nails done. And I was in early labor and had no idea. So I was having contractions pretty much the whole time I was in there. But they weren't like so intense to the point that I was like about to die. You know what I mean? So they were pretty painful, but you know, I was getting my nails done. So I was like, this is probably the last time I'll be able to get this done for a long time. And that was the best pedicure ever. She didn't like really push any pressure points or anything. I didn't tell her to do any of that. I know a lot of people say to get a foot massage and tell them to push like certain pressure points to get your labor going, but my labor was going on its own, so I didn't need to push anything. And you know, the pedicure chairs have like massaging things. I didn't even turn that on because I was like, I don't even want to make this any worse on myself. And I knew we still had to go home and we had to go all the way back to the hospital, so I was like, I'm not trying to progress this any more so than it already is on its own. But then I say that, and after that I went and ate some buffalo chicken from Zaxby's. I wanted something spicy. I know they say spicy food also induces labor. So I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I ate some of those, and then we came home. As you guys seen in the labor and delivery vlog, we got the rest of our stuff and we headed out. My contractions were about 2 to 3 minutes apart at that time, and I'm like, oh crap. They told me to go to the hospital when they were 5 minutes apart because of how far away we were. So at that point I started getting worried, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to get any pain medication. I'm not going to be able to get antibiotics. Why didn't I just go ahead and go to the hospital? I was questioning it a little bit, and I started praying. As soon as we got in the truck on the way to the hospital, they stopped. And they stopped for 17 minutes. I didn't have a contraction. And I'm like, Cody, what do we do? Do we just turn around and go home? Like, do we just hang around town? Like, what do we do? He said, no, we'll just go on. And I told him, I said, maybe God just slowed my contractions down just to make sure I got to the hospital. And I'm telling you, as soon as we got in the parking lot, they started back again. So it was just like God stopped them long enough for me to be able to get there. And by the time we got up to the floor we were supposed to be at, and I was checking in, I had a number of contractions just talking to the lady at the registration desk. Oh my gosh, I was pretty much bent over that table trying to talk to her. And then they put us in like a little room to ask me questions and check my blood pressure and stuff before they sent me to triage, because they were trying to clean a room for me. And I had so many contractions in there. I started crying while I was in there because I'm just like, this is happening. This is real. I don't think they're going to send me home. I think this is it. So shortly after that, we got to triage. The doctor that was on call came in and let me know that if I wanted to have a baby tonight, it was happening. And I'm like, it's real. This is really happening. But I'm going to tell you what, that nurse that checked me to see how far I had dilated almost killed me. I was in tears. I wanted to kick her in the throat. It was so painful. And I had had my cervix checked numerous times at that point. But I don't know what she was checking. I think she was checking my ribs or my esophagus, because y'all, she hurt me. It hurt so bad. I had never felt that kind of pain ever in my life. Even after delivering, I still ain't never felt a pain like that. She just almost killed me. When she checked me, I was 4 centimeters dilated, and I think that was around 4 or 5 o'clock. If you want more time stamps on when things happen, you gotta watch the labor and delivery vlog, because Cody did his best to let you guys know what time everything was happening, because at this point I'm doing good to kind of know a roundabout time, because it just happened so fast. The labor pretty much lasted, I guess, from the time that she told me I was 4 centimeters. I had been in active labor since probably late that afternoon, but we're counting like from 5:30 to when she was born. So I was technically in labor for like 10 hours, which is not long at all. And it kind of flew by, but kind of moved slow at the same time, which is pretty much how the entire pregnancy went. It felt like it flew by, but at the same time it drug its behind. So I got admitted around 5:30, and they let me know that I can go ahead and get an epidural if I wanted one. And I knew that when I got that, I wouldn't be able to walk anymore. So I was like, let's wait a little bit longer. And then I learned that after I had to get, I think it was so much fluid in me or something before I could get that, and it would take 30 minutes for the anesthesiologist person to come. So by the time I asked for it, it was like another 30 minutes to an hour before I was able to get it, which meant my contractions had picked up tremendously by the time that I got that epidural. And I've been asked how bad the epidural hurt. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know what went on with the epidural. I think I didn't get that until 8 o'clock. So I had been sitting there for about 3 hours, I think, before I finally got it. So they were pretty rough, and they were pretty lengthy. They would literally take my breath away, and the only thing that I think sort of helped with them was kind of like moaning, and not really the breathing that they tell you to do. I was trying to breathe through them, but I felt like the moaning kind of just helped a little bit more than the breathing. I don't know. You're going to have to like figure that out on your own, which one helps you a little bit better. My husband was tremendously helpful. A lot of you commented on that. You could see it in the vlogs how helpful and loving he was through this whole entire process. We are so blessed to have Daddy. He is a wonderful husband and father. We love him so much. So that was around 8-ish, and I think around 10 she checked me again to let me know that I think I was like a stretchy 5 was what she called it. So I was almost a 6, stretchy 5, and I think she was going to break my water at that moment when she came in. Yeah, she was going to break my water, and she checked me at the same time, but she didn't need to break my water because it had broke on its own. So I was really progressing, and a lot of times people say they don't like to get an epidural because it'll slow your labor down. It didn't slow mine down at all. Like I said, I got it around 8, and my water broke on its own, and that was somewhere around 10 o'clock. And I was, like I said, a stretchy 5. So and they don't really check you after your water's broke because it's kind of unsanitary, because now there's nothing like a barrier to cover her. So they don't really like to check anything after that. They literally will only check you like towards the end. So I think she checked me around 1 or 2 o'clock, and I was a 9. So then she went ahead and called the baby nurses and the doctor to let them know what was going on. So we started doing practice pushes. And I don't remember what time that was. Like I said, you're going to have to watch that vlog to get a little better understanding of time. We only did practice pushes for a very short amount of time. So you do about 3 sets in one. So, and they're 10 seconds each. So you do about 30 seconds of pushing. And you do them when you're having a contraction. And she told me to let her know when I started feeling pressure. So with an epidural, and depending on your, I guess, your pain tolerance, because an epidural doesn't necessarily get rid of all the pain. I know a lot of people think that. They think it's going to just take all the pain away, but that's not the case, and it doesn't. It works differently for everybody. If you've seen the video, you know that it made me high as a kite. I was super relaxed. But one thing that was super painful, I'm not gonna lie, was my IV in my hand. And it wasn't the IV itself, it was the medicine and the fluids that they were pumping into the IV. So the antibiotics you have to do for the strep B, I think, was penicillin. And I don't know if it was that or if it was the fluid, But y'all, my hand was hurting so bad, and I can't even describe the pain. It was like a burning sensation, but not a burning. It was aching and throbbing. It was painful, and they were pumping it into me pretty quickly. I don't know if that's what it was, but she slowed it down because they wanted to have 2 bags in you before the baby, or I think I had a bag and a half or something. I don't remember. Like I said, it's all kind of a blur. I do know that it hurt like a mother. I mean, I'm sitting there like trying to massage my arm, and that, if anything, that took my mind off of everything that was going on around me, because it was intense. I don't know if it was just me, if that happens to everybody, but it was intense. Let me go back to when I got the epidural, because I totally forgot to tell y'all this. So they have you lean onto the side of the bed, and they crank the bed up really high so that the doctor could get where she needed to behind me, to put in the anesthesia needle stuff. I didn't see any of that. I didn't want to see any of that. I've heard that the needle's huge, so I didn't want to see any of that. I just wanted the medicine in me. But my husband nearly passed out, and it wasn't because of the needle. We're thinking maybe he locked his legs, and then when he went back and released, because he was standing in front of me, being the amazing husband that he is, and I was leaning on him, and he was being super motivational in my ear. And then when she was finished, she said, "Okay, that's it. How do you feel?" And I'm like, "I'm good." And then Cody says, "I don't feel so good." And that was when because when she said she was done, he leaned away from me. And when he did, I think he bent his knees back, and his legs must have been locked in place, so when he released them, he felt lightheaded. He didn't pass out or anything, but he almost did. So the nurses came in with a rag around his neck, and I gave him some snacks and made him sit down. But he was fine shortly after. They said they've seen many, many men fall out on the floor in there. So yeah, that was interesting. After that, I was able to eat a popsicle, so you can have like ice and water and a few things. So I had a popsicle, and if you watch my pregnancy updates, you would know that I had horrible, horrible heartburn pretty much the entire time, but it got worse towards the end of the pregnancy, and it was just random stuff. I mean, it got to the point that pretty much everything gave me heartburn, and that popsicle was no joke. So I was super excited. It was a red popsicle. Love red popsicles. And I'm sitting there eating that popsicle, and as soon as I took that first bite, I'm like, I could feel it like burning in my chest, and I couldn't finish it. I ended up giving it to Cody, and I could still feel that like uneasiness in my chest. So before we started those practice pushes, I felt like I had to throw up. There was many nights where I would wake up and feel as if I needed to throw up because of my heartburn, but I never did. So I didn't think anything of it because I knew it was late. I was thinking, that's just it. You know, that's just, I don't really have to throw up. It's just that sensation. But the thing was, I couldn't get up because I had that epidural. So the only part of me that worked was, you know, like my upper half, and it wasn't much of that. So I couldn't really get up the way that I would want to help give myself some relief. So I'm laying there, and I'm like, I feel like I gotta throw up. So when the nurse comes back in, I said, what would happen if I had to throw up? Because I knew I couldn't get up and go to the bathroom. And she said, oh, we have some bags. And I looked at Cody and I said, I need one of them bags. And I needed it right then. And by the time he brought that bag back to my mouth, I was vomiting and I could not stop. Sadly, I did not really make it into that bag. It didn't really get into the bag. It more so got onto me in my beautiful labor gown. So there was that, which means all that buffalo chicken I ate was no longer in me. It was out of me. And that's all I could smell for the longest time. It was horrible. The nurse left me. Cody left me. Everybody left me. The nurse said she's not good with throw up. Cody's not good with throw up. But he was so good. And I know he's not good with throw up. And to say that he was standing there holding that bag and was about to die holding that bag, I was like, please, you can go on. Once I was able to talk and I actually got a breath in between them 4 throw up sessions, I said, you can walk away. Because I know how he is with throw up. And he was gagging. The nurse left, and I was just like covered in throw up, just laying there cleaning myself up. But so there's that. That happened, I think, either right before the practice pushes or after. I can't remember. It was around that time. A lot of people say that that's normal for you to throw up because of whatever, but I'm pretty sure it was the heartburn. I don't think it had anything to do with me being in labor. Like I said, every night almost, I would have like that weird sensation in my chest, throat area. and I just never threw up from it. I always got close, but I never actually threw up, and I did. We did, like I said, maybe 3 sets of those practice pushes. We didn't do many because it took her until about 31 weeks for her to turn around and get where she needed to be at. So she had been breached up until 31 weeks. And then 31 weeks when we went to our appointment, it was a 4D ultrasound. She was actually finally head down. And after that, she got lower and lower and lower. So she just kept going on down. And I think at my 37-week appointment, she was low, and then she got lower and lower. So by the time that labor started good, she was already there. So she had made me stop doing those practice pushes because she was about to come on out. So I called the doctor in, and I think I did 3 of those 10-second pushes, and then they made me stop. And she said, on these next couple pushes, we're going to have a baby. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's how fast this happens? Like, I'm used to hearing people talk about I pushed for however many hours and all of this stuff, and I'm just like, what? She said on the next couple, so that next 10 seconds, the next 10-second count push, her head was out, and then they made me stop because they were getting ready to do shoulders, so they wanted me to slowly push. They didn't want me to tear, which I wasn't paying any attention. I mean, I was, but I mean, in that situation, there's a lot going on, so I kind of missed when she first said to slow down, so I didn't slow down at first. So I tore a little bit. I don't even know how much, literally a little bit, because she said it was like insignificant, and she gave me like 1 or 2 stitches. After that 10 seconds, her shoulders were out, and I don't even think we made it to that next 10 seconds. So that's what, 50 seconds of, yeah, that's like 50 seconds of pushing, and she was out with the doctor. And she cried, and that was the sweetest sound ever in the world to hear those first cries. I had dreamed about that. That's all I wanted to hear. And a lot of times I go back and watch the labor and delivery vlog just to hear those first cries from her. Everybody says she has good lungs, and she gets that honest. I'm a singer, and I had a good set of lungs when I was a baby. So I'm thinking, hoping, praying that she's going to be a little singer and we can do little duets and stuff. I think that'd be the sweetest thing ever in the world. Our labor was a blessing. We had prayed about that thing. It took us a while to get pregnant. So we prayed that when we finally did get pregnant, it would be a breeze pretty much, and it was. We were so blessed to have such an easy delivery. Pregnancy wasn't terrible either. I mean, I was sick a lot, and then shortly after morning sickness stopped, I had heartburn. So I was pretty much sick the entire time, but it was totally worth it. I said that I wouldn't know if I wanted another baby after this one, because I was a little scared of the whole labor process. But honestly, if I had a labor like that one every single time, I'd have all the babies in the world, because it wasn't really difficult at all. If anything, I felt like I laughed and giggled once I got that epidural. I don't think I'd be able to do it without it. I would definitely say that. But she was so worth it. And we really love and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for supporting us through this entire journey. All the love that you've shown us in our past few videos from our labor and delivery, meeting her, bringing her home, all the things. Y'all have been amazing. We cannot thank you enough. She has the best internet family ever. We're so appreciative of y'all. We hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Like I said, please give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. I'm gonna go put this little nugget down to continue sleeping, and I'm gonna get some work done. Hope y'all have a beautiful and blessed day, y'all. Bye. Oh, probably need to open that window. Pretty sure y'all can hear that swing going. Probably gonna have to stop that and get her out. Look. Hello. Hey, baby. Are you ready for a nap? Will I be able to film this and put this child to sleep all at the same time? Your guess is as good as mine. Whoa. Hello, baby. Are you gonna pull Mama's necklace off? Ow. I'm not gonna be able to film this if you're looking at me. Let's go get in our crib. Come on.